Media Island.
You're listening to KOWA 106.5 Alpha FM, coming to you from Olympia, Washington. This is Youth of America by Joe Carr, and he's here in the studio. He wants to talk about a whole bunch of situations, things, events that have happened in his life. Joe, what's going on, man? What's happening?
What's up, Olympia? It is good to be back in town. My name is Joe Carr. I went to the Evergreen State College from 2000 to 2004, so really cut my activist teeth here in Olympia. Now I'm back in town for the debut of the Rachel Corrie documentary. It's coming on Monday at the Olympia Film Festival. I was with Rachel when she was killed in Palestine while studying at Evergreen, working with Earth First and Food Not Bombs and getting involved with radical direct action movements. I learned about what was happening in Palestine and the nonviolent resistance there. I decided to go over and join the International Solidarity Movement, a Palestinian-led organization that organizes nonviolent resistance to Israeli occupation, and worked there in Rafah on the southern Gaza Strip for a total of 4 months on that trip. I was joined there by Rachel Corrie, a young activist from Olympia, also Evergreen student. We'd been friends and met through the Procession of the Species and her organizing people to dress as doves. And she came, and we were one day on March 16th, 2003, using our bodies to physically block Israeli Caterpillar-made bulldozers from destroying Palestinian homes. And we had a lot of success using the tactic of blockading them, and they usually stopped to avoid hurting us because we were white. But this time they didn't stop and very intentionally drove over Rachel and crushed her to death. And definitely changed my life and affected the larger peace movement and Palestinian rights movement as well. And so there's a new documentary about her that's debuting at the film festival on Mondays that I'm featured in, and going to check that out, do some Q&A with her parents and me and another one of the witnesses. So that should be a cool event. But I've also done a lot of art and hip-hop music that I've written inspired by my experiences in Palestine with Rachel. I went back to Palestine 4 times after that, spent a total of a year from 2003 to 2006 organizing nonviolent resistance. I also spent time in Iraq working with the Christian peacemaker teams and supporting nonviolent activists there, and traveled all around the U.S. working with building the social justice movements here. And I'm now currently living in Austin, Texas.
What made you go to Palestine? I mean, you know, you're a student at Evergreen, and all of a sudden you're motivated to go to 1,000 miles, you know, what is it, 3,000 miles or something, thousands of miles away to participate in the life of other people.
Coming from a white middle class background, you know, and as a male in that, like, I learned a lot about the privilege that I have and what a privilege it is to not have grown up in violence and dealing with occupation and racism and things that other people in this country deal with, but people are also dealing with in the third world. And when I made that commitment to give up some of my privilege or to use my privilege to help those in need, you know, I realized there were really no limits to that. And when I learned about what's going on in Palestine and the role that internationals could play, I felt that that was a crucial role I could play in using my white skin privilege, my American passport, my access to technology and media to try and really serve the Palestinians, as well as to learn a lot about their movements and to learn about the powerful nonviolent activism that they're doing, and be able to be a part of one of the last indigenous peoples resisting colonization and resisting genocide. And, you know, as I saw our government invading the war in Iraq and continuing to oppress indigenous people here and people of color here, it just felt like a crucial thing, a crucial front that I could help fight on. And I had the privilege to be there during some important times of their movement. I feel very grateful for that. And it's very much affected my life and affected the way I organize here. And, you know, I continue to be active with social justice movements.
Joe, now, okay, more than being white and privileged, now, what was it that really got you to decide, in the sense that, you know, you went past the norm? It wasn't just a question of, I mean, you rap, you've committed your life to being an activist. Now, what's the deal? I mean, you know, you don't have to be an activist. Why are you activating?
I guess I feel like I do have to be an activist. Once I realized the incredible suffering and oppression that was going on in the world, and, you know, realized that I could either continue living my life and supporting that oppression and benefiting from people suffering, or I could, take a role in fighting against that system and be on the side of liberation. Once I learned that, it didn't feel like it was even a choice for me to go anyway, but the organizing route. I guess it really comes from a basis in love, really, that my family instilled in me a great love for people and for myself and for humanity, and once I, extended that love and realized that people I care about and love are suffering, how could I do anything but organize and support them? And it's really brought me the most amount of happiness and fulfillment that I've ever known, to be able to stand alongside them and to build relationships with people from other places that are suffering, because of systems that I benefit from. And just has really enriched my life, and I can't imagine being happy or being fulfilled without being engaged in trying to make the world a better place.
So tonight you're doing a show, right, over at the Procession of Species workshop. What is the event about?
Yeah, we're doing this event tonight. We're calling it Love and Revolution, Radical Hip Hop, Video, and Spoken Word. It's a collaboration between me and a local filmmaker in Austin named Jeff Zavala, who has put together several of his independent documentaries that he's made about social justice movements in Austin. And they go along with some of my songs, and so we'll be projecting those behind the songs that I'm performing. He'll also be showing some of his footage from the immigrants' rights movement in Austin, which we have some other people in the studio here to talk about. And then we're also teaming up with a local hip-hop artist named Afrock, and a hip-hop DJ called Andrew James, and a social justice political spoken word artist named Will Hewitt, who are all going to do sets and perform. And it should be a real lively evening of hip-hop and video, spoken word, and a lot of fun and being engaged politically, but also having a good time. It starts, doors are at 7, show will probably start around 8. At the Procession Art Space, which is 311.5 Capitol Way. It's right behind the Royal Lounge. It's an all-ages show, and we're really trying to get folks out to come and have a good time.
You can tell we're sharing a mic, but this one thing is about low-budget KOWA radio, and please, folks, feel free to come over. We need donations, we need support, but guess what? It's always great to have people come into our studio and do live sets. And so Joe Carr is here. He's a rapper. I heard him rap last night. It was really interesting, and I think that if you have a chance, you should go and check it out. The main thing is, like, he has a message, and he's trying to bring something forward to our community. I think that sometimes we don't understand the things that are going on in the world around us. Sometimes we feel like everything is so, how would you say it? It's like fast food, it's like, it's there, dollar burger. Everything is accessible, available. But Joe represents a spirit in this country, is a reminder of what we can be as opposed to what we are. Now, one of the things I want to put to him is just this, right? Now, okay, you went to Palestine, you took a stand. Now, the whole issue of Rachel being killed, it's still kind of fuzzy. Everybody's like, they don't really understand it. They think that maybe there's an attempt to deify a white girl. But Israel, Palestine. Now, you went there. Tell me what's going on up here. I've never been there, so I can't really talk about the place. You went there. You saw the place. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on up there.
Well, we've got a pretty classic example of Western colonization. Basically, rich European men are systematically displacing poor people of color from their land, forcing them into smaller and smaller enclaves of the worst land, controlling anybody who resists it, meeting them with massive violent force, and continuing to increase their own wealth at the expense of both the indigenous people as well as poor Jews in their own country. The only difference of this form of colonization as any other in the past is that these rich white European men happen to be Jewish rich white European men.